You're listening to Just 3 Clicks, and this is episode number 16. Decisions, decisions, decisions. It says it 3 times in a row. Head, heart, and or gut. I'm sat with David. How's it going?
Good. I'm quite happy today as we have changed the table.
Oh yeah, shit.
I normally leave the podcast room and my knees are like bruised because the table that we had was only made for one person. So at Joey's side, he had like the desk bit where he could put his knees. At my side, I had like the back of the desk, and my knees just kept hitting the desk. So
It's just like when you're sat and it's just like your knees are like that.
Well, I've been watching The Crown recently, right? And the Queen sits like you can't see what I'm doing with my legs, but I'm doing it like that.
Oh right, yeah.
I sat like the Queen. It's quite. I think it gives me like hip problems. It's not good. Not good.
Why did she sit like that?
I don't know. That's how they get taught, I presume.
Taught to sit.
Yeah. Or yeah. I think royalty sit differently, and then
They must have all kinds of like weird isms and rules like that.
Well, it's like the proper way to do things, isn't it? Like.
The Queen, right. You mean like
the Queen's not going to like pick up a burrito and eat it with her hands itchy.
Yeah. You mean like what side the knife and fork go on?
Yeah.
And all that. The size of it has to go.
Yeah, and
if big cutlery to small cutlery. Is that right?
Yeah, and if you're having fish, you got like a fish knife and fork.
You're quite into your culinary. Is that right? Is that the right word? is that right?
Maybe. Probably right word, wrong content. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I'm into cooking and
of or for cooking, culinary skills. Yeah, culinary arts related to. Yeah, okay.
I'm into my color. I can't even say it.
Culinary.
It's a weird word. Yep.
It's a weird day today. Like with this, it's just been such an intense like couple of weeks, and I think our brains are a little bit in that almost burnout mode.
I think, do you know what it is? We pretty much know that maybe in the next 7 to 10 days, we're going to have a break.
Yeah.
So what normally, I mean, I've had a cold this week. I've not been too good. And it kind of always happens. It's like when my body like knows it's about to have time off, it just stops to function properly.
Yeah.
Like I get really tired, I get sick, I get
gas.
Gas, yeah. Yeah, that we'll give some more context to that at the end of the episode. But yeah, it's just it's a weird time. Like every year I always get sick before Christmas. It's like a rite of passage.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's just that time of year. Like I'm ready to just like lay down. To be honest,
right now.
Yeah, I could lay down now. I had a good sleep last night as well. Like woke up this morning, and I didn't want to do anything. Plus, it's basically with obviously if you've been following the episodes, you'll know that we're going through like an investment process, and we've done. I don't know how many we did last week. 8, 7.
7 maybe. Yeah.
And these meetings are not like your regular 45, 60-minute meeting. We're talking 90 minutes minimum, like of intense focus, because you're going in and you've got to be like enthusiastic for every single meeting because you're talking to someone new every time.
And as well, these are on Zoom.
Which sucks.
75% of them are on Zoom. And I went home after we did 3 in a day, and I felt honestly like wiped out completely. I had no energy. I was like, I wonder why I feel this way, because I've just been sat on a computer all day, and apparently with Zoom there's like 2 things. So when we communicate with people day to day, most of what we take in is like non-verbal. Like I'm talking now, Joey's like looking at me, so I know he's paying attention. And then if he wasn't paying attention, I could like maybe try and do something to get his attention, or maybe I could understand that I'm going off tangent, or what I'm saying is not interesting, and I can then adapt what I'm saying. Whereas when you're doing it on Zoom, either if someone's not got the camera on or if someone does, you can't really gauge what anyone's thinking really. And there's like a 1.4 to 1.6 second delay. So what you'll find is you can't get that instant feedback. The conversation can't be natural. You can't just jump in.
Yeah.
And I think all that causes like quite a bit of anxiety because it's kind of, we don't really know what.
Yeah, it's like if
See-
you want to pick up on someone's point, like right there, like if I've just started talking, what would have happened on Zoom is you'd still be talking now,
Yeah, yeah,
and then I'd be talking, and I'd be like, oh,
yeah.
and then I'll stop, but
And
then
then I'd stop.
you'll
and then,
stop, and then there'll be nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like it's just very annoying.
Yeah. And I think all that, I mean, you've got to really focus and you kind of hesitate. So I think it just takes a lot of energy, really.
Yeah. And then obviously, you know, no disrespect to the meetings, like they're obviously really important and we value them all. But what happens is that we are having to say the same thing again and again. Because obviously we've got to say the same, it's the same information that we're giving to every investor. So like it's quite numbing in a way because it's like your energy levels are just going like that through the day.
Yeah.
But you've just got to keep like, being as enthusiastic as you can. So it doesn't help being on Zoom, to be honest. Like the meetings we've had in person have been really good.
I think if we did them all face to face,
yeah, it'd be different.
The conversations will be different and it'd be much easier.
Yeah.
But the Zoom thing is just, the conversations are less collaborative and more prescriptive. It's more like you talk about X, Y, Z, and then pass it on to this person who talks about X, Y, Z. And I think because someone's on a computer, it's very easy just to go into a different tab and open up Facebook, LinkedIn, news website. If someone's talking quite a bit, you can just tune out. And I think that it's an easy way to kind of avoid being part of a conversation if people want to do that. Unless you're the one presenting, and then you're fucked basically.
Yeah. No, it's been a very hectic couple of weeks, and I guess like just tying it into what we're talking about today. Oh, that's your phone. We're talking about decision making basically, and I guess like as a business owner, you will make, you have to make decisions. Like you've got to decide what you're going to do next, and whatever else, and what direction you're going to go in strategically, and whatever else. And I guess like we're at a bit of a weird point where it's like we've not really got a lot of decisions to make now. Because it's like we're just in a bit of a weird waiting phase almost.
I think we've made a lot of decisions already.
Yeah.
I guess that's part of growing a business is when you start on day one, you're making new decisions every day because what you do is you make a decision, you execute, and then you go and make another decision. And then you do the work. Whereas what happens now is we're thinking a month, 2 months, a year down the line. So I make a decision today. I then tell someone my decision. They then work on it. I can't go and change my mind and then be like, hey, do this now. It's kind of like making decisions for other people and then letting them kind of work. I think that's probably what has changed.
I think that kind of ties into COVID a little bit because there's a point here on like how some of the decisions being made by the governments globally are bad decisions and some of them are good decisions. And I think a lot of the time we give a lot of, obviously we give a lot of like kind of backlash to governments and things because it's like, oh, that's a shit decision and that was a bad idea. But it's not as simple as like just one person saying, hey, wear masks and then it just all happens. Like
it really, really annoys me when I see people making kind of judgments off no data.
Yeah.
Like I've said to so many people, because I mean, everyone's very opinionated on this. And they'll say, oh, the UK have handled it terribly.
Yeah, I see that all the time.
And it's like, well, you can't really say they have. History is what is going to judge us, not anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Because every country's kind of dealt with it in their own way. We don't know anything about COVID in the grand scheme of things. There's a lot more research that needs to be done. And it obviously impacts everything. So it's going to impact the economy. It's going to impact the healthcare system. It's going to impact everybody individually in different ways, like the mental health. So you might have countries that didn't have that have done the lockdown like we have, and they may have been stricter. That could lead to more suicides over the next 10 years from people whose businesses maybe started to struggle, and it's going to take 3 or 4 years for them to lose a business, but then the end of the road might be suicide. We don't know. And I think what kind of happens is you get kind of groups of people who have got a certain way of thinking or a certain agenda, and rather than thinking about how we can come together as a group of people and humans and employees or business owners, they just want to attack what they think is something they don't believe in, or a way of working that they don't agree with. When
Yeah.
um, my opinion in this is that we should just all work together and help each other, and that's it. And stop trying to find someone to blame, and just realize we're in a very tough situation. And the only way we're gonna
Sometimes
get
there
out.
aren't. Sometimes there are no good options.
No, no,
Sometimes both options are shit, and that's kind of how it is right now.
yeah. And you've got to make the option that is kind of less shit for the majority.
Yeah.
So there might be a group of people who get the bad end at the bad end of the stick, but there's a group of people who've got a better option because of that.
Yeah. It's like
Um,
it's the same as a business. Like, I mean, fortunately, we're not in a situation like that. But I'll flip it. I'll flip the direction completely. Like, there's an episode in The Office where basically the company's losing money, but they have to do their annualized pay increase. So it's like the pay increase is so minimal. It's basically shit. So what they have to do is the decision is: do we only give the pay increase to the people that are bringing ROI into the business, or do we just give a really small incremental pay increase to everybody? What would you do?
it's a very tough question, really. Um, I don't really know. I think you'd have to think. It'd be hard without it being our business, really.
Yeah,
Um, because you don't know what input the other people have and how they support. I'd maybe make it a collaborative thing and use a democracy to do it.
yeah,
Um, if I was going to do it, and maybe speak to the people who are bringing all the money in and say this is how we want to deal with it. Do you support that? And then kind of
yeah,
use it to bring the team together, I guess. But
yeah. This is the I guess the point is, like, sometimes there is no good outcome, is there? But I think, like, I think one of the things we're trying to get to with this podcast is, like, Nindy's kind of point is, like, how do we make decisions? Like, how do we come to a conclusion on what we want to do? And I think it's just changed a lot from back in the day. As the business has developed, personalities developed, but layers in the business have changed. Our focal points in the business have changed. Like, I do different stuff, you do different stuff, Jamie does different stuff. Like, sometimes, like, we're in a situation now where most decisions are, when they're in our own areas of the business, we just kind of like just do what we feel we need to do.
yeah,
I guess.
I think it's just about taking on board. I think back in 2015, it was like, if we do X, Y, Z, it's going to make us this much cash, and then the impact of that cash is that we don't have to worry about making it, and we can then make these decisions that are going to help us make more. Whereas now, I think there's more people in the business. It's about, like, you've got to think about other people and how they would react to certain decisions we make. How it's going to look to everybody else, how it's going to look to customers, how is it going to impact revenue? Is it going to impact valuation of the business? You've got to basically think about it from so many different angles. If you make a decision for one person, how's someone else going to feel about that?
Yeah.
If you give one person a pay rise because they've done a great job, how's someone else going to feel about that? These are the kind of things that you don't tend to think about when you've only got a small team, because you can kind of do it for everybody. But then as you get bigger, you've got to manage people differently. And then if
Yeah.
someone started the job 1 month ago and you do say a bonus, is it fair that they get the bonus? Probably not.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's kind of how like I mean, I think it happened to me at say B&Q. Um, I used to work at B&Q, like a DIY store, and I think we got like a bonus if we hit target for the year. And I remember one year I'd only been there like 2 months, and then everybody was saying, "Oh, Christmas bonus, and I'm going to buy X, Y, Z," and I was like, "Oh, well, I don't get it," and I was okay with that. I understood why,
Yeah.
and I think that things like that are kind of everybody thinks differently. Someone might say, "Well, I want that,"
Yeah. Yeah.
but
It's
you know,
it's well, there's you get two different types of people. Then you got people who expect, and then you got people who go and try to, you know, get something because they feel they've worked for it. I think you do get two different types of people. I think
yeah,
that'll kind of determine how someone responds there.
yeah. I'm
Um,
not into people who expect things.
Me neither.
Like that's probably the worst thing you can do with me is like expect something because
Yeah.
I tend to not give it. It's probably my upbringing that I think.
Yeah. Like
Um,
I would honestly, I'm not ashamed to say I've got way too much pride. So if it's a case of like oh, just a hand me down or just go and do it from scratch, like honestly, I would much rather just be broke with all my dignity intact and just go and try again, like rather than having hand me downs. And you know, maybe that's my ego, maybe that's just who I am, but that's just how I am.
I think it's just like the way I got brought up was to go and work for things and um, make someone see the value I can provide. Really,
Yeah.
and I think it's probably why we've ended up in our own business because I think what happens is people don't appreciate what you think you bring to the table. And I think this is the difference here. Like either you can hang around there and you can, you know, say, well, I should get more, or you can go and get more elsewhere. And I think I mean, we've kind of segued into something a bit different than what we've been talking about, but this is more about like what decisions in the business, like these are the things we have to think about when we do certain things.
Yeah.
Because everybody's different. And I think, I look at how people made decisions about me when I was in a job. If I asked for a pay rise or if I wanted something, like I remember I got a pay rise in my old job, and I didn't go and ask for it. I went and got another job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went for an interview at another firm that was offering to pay me like £5,000 a year more. I got the job offer and I went and handed my notice in to my boss.
Yeah.
And I was fully prepared to leave because I felt like I was worth what this new firm were paying me. I'd negotiated the same training package, like everything. So I was prepared to leave, but then they just matched it. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of a way of, I think my way of making a decision like that is, well, if I was going to make a decision as the employer in that scenario, I'd want my guys to do the same thing. Like just make the decision easy for me. Like give me an easy decision to make
Yeah.
rather than like I want more.
What about like, because I think there's two things here. Like, there's the other side. What we're talking about here is quite like a high level, I guess, from a strategic perspective of decision making. But let's
Yeah.
let's take it to a more micro level and like, let's say you're just starting out in business. Let's not even make it about business. Let's make it about like choosing a film. Like, how do you decide what you're going to watch on TV next?
Probably Netflix's algorithm, really.
Yeah.
I think, I think it depends. Like, I would always probably take into account who I'm watching it with.
Okay.
So if I'm watching it with somebody, then I'd take into account what they wanted to watch. So that'd probably be like the first thing. Like, are we going to both enjoy this thing? If I was watching something on my own,
All right.
if I was watching it on my own, I'd be like, well, I'll watch whatever I want to watch. So, as an example, right, if I'm on my own, I tend to watch like Chef's Table on Netflix. I'm
Yeah.
really into like cooking and stuff, so I enjoy watching that. But if I was with like somebody else, I don't tend to watch that kind of thing. I'd watch TV series.
Yeah. Because for me, I think like I have quite a weird thing with indecisiveness, like out of work. It's quite odd. I've been speaking to like therapist about it recently, and it's like in work I can make decisions completely fine. Like I won't have to and ah about what we should do. It's just kind of like that's the logical decision because data and numbers and that's it. But then outside of work, where it's more emotional and empathetic and things, I struggle to make decisions that seem really simple. So like for example, like if I'm going to choose something to watch on TV, I'll really think about whether I'm actually going to enjoy it or not before I invest my time. So
Yeah.
like it's almost to the point of like where I just won't actually watch anything. So it's like, should I watch this or that? And when I put something on, it will be like, I might get more enjoyment if I watch something else. So I'll just like flick right in between it.
Yeah.
And it's really odd. So I started trying to understand why that happens. And it's like this weird, it's like a perfectionist trait. And it's not a good thing. Like a lot of people, we've just shot a video on this on the YouTube channel. So you'll see that probably in a couple of weeks. But like, it's just about like how we often try and like make the best choice, the best decision first, just so that we can avoid the most disastrous outcome. It's actually linked straight to anxiety. It's like it plays hand in hand. So like we so badly don't want the bad outcome that we will procrastinate to death on the actual base decision.
I think as well you might have like had one time you had a very good outcome, and then you compare everything you do to that one good outcome. So it's like I watched this amazing show, and now I want every show to be that amazing.
To give me that feeling.
Yeah.
The Breaking Bad feeling.
Yeah. But you can't always. I mean, it's impossible to recreate because the first time you have that feeling, essentially, it's different. It's new. Whereas when you try and recreate it, you're a different person. Essentially.
I can see how that's applied to a couple of different things really in past experiences. So yeah, there's a very interesting thing here. I'm going to ask you a question. So, and this is based on an experiment from Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow, which I think I may have read this a long time ago. Have you read that, Thinking Fast and Slow?
No.
I think it's either that or The Paradox of Choice. It's a book on decision making. Good books. So a baseball bat and a ball cost £1 10 together. The bat costs £1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? That seems really easy. Almost too easy.
The bat so like
a baseball bat.
10p.
That's what I've got. A baseball.
No, it's wrong. It's wrong because that'd be £1.20. So the balls. Say it again.
A baseball bat and a ball cost £1 10 together. The bat costs £1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? If it's 110 together and the bat costs £1 more.
Is it?
I don't know.
No,
hang on a minute. The bat costs £1 more than the ball. It's 10p. It's £1 10 together. A baseball bat and a ball.
Yeah, because if what it would be, that'd be 10p, and then £1 10p. That's £1.20. So.
Yeah, but together it costs £1 10.
It doesn't.
It says a bit.
It doesn't. Right. So the ball is 10. The ball's 10p. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if the bat was £1 10p, yeah, add them together, it's £1.20.
Yeah, but it says a baseball bat and a ball cost £1 10 together.
Yeah, but then so then it's wrong. It's not 10p.
Break it down. A baseball bat and a ball is £1 10 together.
Yeah.
So the bat is £1.
Yeah.
The bat is £1 more than the ball. It's not saying that the bat is £1 actually. It's saying that the bat is £1 more than the ball.
Yeah. So you said 10p.
Yeah.
So that means that the bat is £1 10.
Yeah, of course.
Which is £1.20 together.
So that would be what then? How much does the ball cost?
I think it's impossible. Like I don't think
there is an answer at the bottom of the brief, but I don't want to scroll down until I feel like I've got the answer. Baseball bat and a ball cost £1.10 together. The bat costs £1 more than the ball.
Is this the most entertaining podcast you guys
What
have
the fuck
ever
is going
listened
on?
to?
It's almost like it's too easy. I don't want to Google it because I want to get this.
So
It is a puzzle. It says that it's a puzzle
yeah,
from the book. So it's not going to be 10p, is it? Just based on the fact that it's not a puzzle. That the fact that it's a puzzle.
the ball. I don't know.
The baseball bat and the ball. Let's try one more time. Baseball bat and a ball cost £1.10 together, which would mean altogether it costs £1.10. We don't know how much anything costs yet,
Yeah.
but we just know that together it's £1.10. Yeah, the bat costs £1 more than the ball. So if we took £1 off, we've got 10p left. It has to be 10p.
It's not though.
It costs £1 more than the ball, right?
No, because then the ball's worth 10p, so the bat's worth £1.10, which is £1.20.
Oh, it has to be, the ball has to be less than 10p
Yeah.
for it to be £1 more. Because if it costs £1 more, because it can't be £1.20 because it has to equate to £1.10.
Yeah.
So the ball has to be less than 10p.
Just get the answer.
It's on the bottom, right? Most people guess 10p. That's wrong. It's 5p.
Shit, it is. Why did I not even get that? Like,
How the fuck is it 5p?
because it's £1. It's £1.5. I was gonna say 5p, but in my mind I was like, it can't be, but it is. So basically, the ball's 5p, yeah,
Right.
and then the bat's £1.5, which is £1.10.
But it says that the bat costs £1 more than the ball.
Yeah. So 5p and then £1.5. Add them together, it's £1.10.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Like,
oh shit. Yeah.
I should have got the answer. Like,
Fucking hell.
I'm annoyed that I didn't get that now.
Jesus Christ. Right. Okay.
I was like halfway there. This is right. This week, our heads are broken.
There's actually there's two systems of thinking here. Apparently, it's supposedly okay. There's two types of thinking in the Thinking Fast and Slow book, and I've scrolled past it. Hold on, let me pull it back. That's what she said. Hold on. So there's system 1 and there's system 2.
You have to edit that out.
So if you guess 10p, you're supposedly more of an intuitive thinker. That's system 1. If you worked it out as 5p, that's system 2, and you're a more analytical thinker. So system 1 is fast, automatic, frequent, emotional, stereotypic, and unconscious. And system 2 is slow, effortful, infrequent, logical, calculating, and conscious.
That's me.
I feel like we tried to work it out. Like I feel like I didn't just snap to the answer. Like obviously I got 10p in my head, but then I kind of felt
my way of thinking would be the question seems too easy, so it's not what you think it is.
That's what I thought.
So I would always think if something seems too good to be true, or if something seems too easy, I tend to question everything about it.
Yeah.
So like if a guy walked into the office now and was like, "Guys, here's £1,000," I wouldn't just be like, "Oh, amazing." I'd be like, "Is it stolen? Like, what's going on?
What's going to happen to me if I take this money?
Yeah.
Is the mafia on my case?"
Yeah. I would literally go to, the worst case scenario.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I don't know, I don't know, just whatever the worst case would be.
Well, that was fun, Indy. Thanks for that. For making us not be able to calculate basic maths.
I'm pretty annoyed because I'm normally very, very good at these things.
You're an accountant by trade.
Well, partially, but I'm very good at.
We should try that. I'm gonna. Do you know what? I'm gonna send that question right now to Chris on Slack whilst we're doing this podcast. Let's see if he can answer it whilst we're doing this.
Chris will be able to do it, I bet.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
We're about to find out.
I'm so annoyed. Like, I think I choked because I'm on a podcast. I think
under pressure.
The pressure of being
Chris Todd. Right, Chris. There we go. Let's see what he says. So, whilst we're waiting for that, how has your decision-making process as entrepreneurs changed over the years?
I think as the business has got bigger and we've got more people around us, I think I take a greater care in any decision we make because it's not just going to impact us. It's going to impact all our staff, and it's going to impact our customers too. So I think when you've got like 1,000 customers and no staff, you can just try different things. But when you've got 150,000 people using the product, and 50 people who their rent payment, their mortgage payment, they whatever they're buying kind of relies on you.
Yeah.
Like it's quite. I mean, as an exercise, you just imagine that. Imagine the gravity of the situation is that there's people who rely on us for the mortgage payment and to pay for the roof over the head and essentially the food. Now, if you actually take a step back and think about that, every time you make a decision, it does make you think a bit differently. And that's what when I see people who say it's running a business isn't difficult, or people shouldn't get rewarded, or you should just do XYZ. That's what gets me mad. It angers me because I might come and step into my shoes.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what's changed for our business over the years. Is the more people you get involved, the more decisions really do. You realize their impact on everybody. So you take greater care in making decisions, and I think that's why businesses they slow down a bit, and decision making is not as fast.
Yeah, I think that's what my point was going to be, was just speed.
Yeah.
Like when it was just us three sat in a Regis office, it was like, yeah, let's do this. Okay, it's done later that day, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Imagine like a business is like a rock, like a pebble you throw into a pond.
yeah,
Like when you're a small business, you throw like a little bit of, I don't know, like a little tiny stone into the pond. It doesn't have an impact. Like the bigger the business gets, it's like the rock.
yeah,
It's like a big rock. You throw a big rock in, and there's ripples and there's waves that impact everything around it.
yeah,
And I think that's kind of what a business is like, and a decision in a business can be that way. So, and that's why I think it's key to break the business down into departments, and even break departments down into multiple departments too, so that each department can operate kind of as their own independent thing. As an example, I've spoken about it before, like R&D and development engineering. Essentially, the same people could run those departments. You could have an engineer in R&D. We do. However, those two don't report into each other, so we get the benefit of someone in R&D who isn't bogged down by process, who can just work on and make decisions that don't impact the product like day to day, but they will impact the roadmap. And I think that's what you've got to do in a business, is kind of when decisions are taken too long, or when decisions are when they can impact too many things, you got to break it down.
yeah. I would pretty much agree with that. I think it's just, for me, it is a time thing. I think I would just echo that really. The more people that we have seemingly brought in, it just seems to have layered the complexity of the decisions that have to get made. That goes even down to like handling staff matters and just anything really. Like it is just down to the size of the business. And I remember when I first started out, like when it was just me, and it was like there was no, then
you have to change as a person. You've got to change, and
yeah,
sometimes you can't change, and you've actually got to do something you don't agree with. And it's very, very difficult as an entrepreneur, I would say. It's a very difficult transition to go through. I think you'll find most like CEOs of companies, of like big companies, probably weren't entrepreneurs. They were employees who kind of went through the system and built the career and ended up at the top of the food chain. Most entrepreneurs eventually remove themselves from those positions, because I think the transition to go from entrepreneur to CEO of a listed company is too big. Now, some people can do it. Look at Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook. He's founder, CEO still now.
Yeah,
but
which I find surprising, to be honest.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, fair play
The
to the guy.
size of that business,
Yeah,
I think that's quite surprising.
like, but he will have gone through so much personal growth. Like, so he will deal with things that a normal person would absolutely just
Probably
crumble.
crumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like,
Like if you ever see him under fire on in
yeah.
those when he's in court and in those hearings where he's being absolutely like nailed, it's quite interesting to watch really because he handles himself quite well.
Yeah.
He does the old 5 second rule
Yeah.
where he takes 5 seconds before he responds, so he just doesn't say anything, which I think is quite a difficult thing to do.
Of course, when someone's attacking you.
Yeah, because your instant reaction is well, it's fight or flight, isn't it? So you're always wanting to like
Yeah.
just quickly jump, but he's quite good at that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where there's a lot of education, a lot of kind of introspection. You've got to really analyze your behavior and what you think, and as well, you have to go against like your core beliefs sometimes. So, because you got to do what's right for everybody.
Yeah,
So there could be an argument between two members of staff, and you might agree with one person. I mean, it's natural human instinct. You're going to agree with one person more than the other, but you can't. You can't really. You've got to be kind of passive, and that's why people hire HR people. Things like that. It's that kind of. Yeah, I think that's probably a big challenge is adapting to the new way of working. I think we've all done quite a good job at it.
yeah,
But it's an ever changing landscape. Really, it's something you've always got to work on, and it does impact how you make decisions. And you've kind of got to take that step back and think independently from who you are as a person, and think as an executive. Really,
yeah. I think there's a little thing here on. So we talked about like system one and system two, so the two different types of thought systems, and there's just some interesting stuff here on what system one can do and what system two can do. So system one can determine that an object is at a greater distance than another. That sounds really simple. Localize the source of a specific sound. Complete the phrase war and. Display disgust when seeing a gruesome image. Read text on a billboard. Drive a car on an empty road. Think of a good chess move. Understand simple sentences. Associate the description quiet and structured person with an eye for details with a specific job. That's your system one. Your system two is prepare yourself for the start of a sprint. Direct your attention towards the clowns at a circus. Direct your attention towards someone at a loud party. Look for the woman with the grey hair.
right? An example there, right? So directing your attention. When I listen to music, right, I can like find like one instrument
Yeah,
in a beat, and I can then focus on that completely and like discard the rest of the beat.
yeah, yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So that's probably a very similar way of thinking.
It says the next one actually says try to recognize the sound.
Yeah.
Sustain a faster than normal walking rate. It's walking really fast. Determine the appropriateness of a particular behavior in a social setting. Yeah, I think that's just like emotional intelligence, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Just like understanding when enough is enough. Count the number of A's in a certain text. Give someone your telephone number. Park in a tight parking space. I think I can park in a tight parking space, you know. And my car's quite big as well.
Why don't you try? Because you always say too many people are parked here.
Well, but I still get it in there though. I still manage to park it. It's just that it is difficult. Yeah, I hate that. By the way, it gets very tight in there. Determine the price quality ratio of two washing machines. Determine the validity of a complex logical reasoning, and solve 17 by 24. You all know that.
17 by 24. You just do 20 times 24, which is 480. And then subtract 72, which is 408, is it?
Yeah, you're right. There you go.
See, I've proven the fact that I can do.
Well, Chris has actually responded.
Yeah.
And he wrote 10p. And then he straight away wrote 5p. Fuck's sake. So everybody goes for 10 first.
Yeah. See, I questioned 10. Like it was like it can't be right. I think anyway. Maybe I'm just making myself feel better.
Maybe. So, all right, cool. Well, that's that's probably getting to the end of our time, really. Um, last thing I suppose we can close on is, how do you transfer your decision making process for certain aspects of the business to other people? That's a good question.
I think by being consistent in how you act in your decision making, I think people can learn from consistency of your actions. And I think that consistency breeds kind of that behavior from people who you give that power to.
Yeah.
So I think your actions and your behavior kind of impact that. Like if I came in one day and I was like, "Hey guys, anyone want a drink?" Like I'll buy a Starbucks, and then the day after, someone was like, "Can we order Starbucks?" And I'm like, "No, we're trying to save money. What are you talking about?" That
Inconsistency.
that inconsistency means that people are afraid to make decisions and they don't really know what to do. Whereas if it was like, right, every Friday we order Starbucks for everybody. If I then wasn't in the office on a Friday, someone else would say, we'll order Starbucks because of that consistent behavior.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say that's kind of like the key to having that really is that consistent behavior and how you kind of act and what you do really. That's probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I think from my end, I think it's just I think it's being able to show your standard of work as well. Like obviously I work a lot on the creative side, so I think having people understand what standard of work that I personally adhere to, like that I want to see in my own work, kind of allows other people to work towards that point. So it's like we've done a lot of overhaul in the way that content goes out, and how it needs to look, how it needs to sound, and essentially what decisions people make to the granular level. So it's like music. What decisions do people make when they're now choosing music for our videos? And that's something that's had to be kind of stemmed down from me, because I've got a certain thing that I'm trying to go for, a certain standard, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess that,
I think that's where you get like operations manual, like where you've got like the brand guidelines that we've been
yeah,
working on. So I think part of it is your actions and how you act as a person, and consistency, and the other one is documentation and checklists and guidelines, and actually building that out as a something that people can reference so they know what decision to make and what to do. Because I think it stops people from being anxious about doing the wrong thing.
yeah.
Um,
Do you know what a heuristic is?
hmm?
A heuristic technique.
I've heard the word, but I can't.
I've never heard of this before. A heuristic technique, or heuristic, is any approach to problem solving or self-discovery that employs a practical method that is not guaranteed to be optimal, perfect, or rational, but is nevertheless sufficient for reaching an immediate short-term goal or approximation. Interesting. There you go. Heuristic. Probably saying it wrong, to be honest.
Word of the day is that now?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying I don't know if I'm saying it right, and Indy can tell me later. Right, cool. Okay, well, that was an interesting episode.
I hope we did justice to it. I feel partly that we didn't even cover too much content. Feels a bit like we may have not done justice, but I'm sure people will let us know.
We played a game, so
If you thought that was a good episode, then please tell us, because I'm feeling like unsure right now.
yeah, me too a little bit.
I feel I feel like I need some validation. So
We've been on for 46 minutes. That's the longest one we've done.
Yeah. Is this the first time we're going to ask people to tell us that we're good people as well? That we do a good job on our podcasts?
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, please.
Yeah, do that.
It'll make us feel better about episode 17.
17. It's getting there now, isn't it? This is the last recording as well, by the way, of the year. So now we have enough episodes that are going to take us all the way into January. So we won't be recording again until 2021 now, provided we make it there.
We should do.
Should do. Nothing else could possibly go wrong this year in the next 20 days or so.
maybe in the new year we'll be a bit more kind of animated in how we are. I feel very drained.
I feel quite flat,
Yeah.
like a coaster.
Just another thought on that, because before we end this, not related to making decisions, but one thing I've been thinking a lot about recently is how 10 years ago when I started my business, well, 11, I am now way ahead of where I thought was possible. I mean, in fact, I'm about to probably achieve some of the goals that I set for my entire life completely. And I remember thinking that if I can just get there, if I can just get to that situation, I'll be happy. And I don't think I've ever felt more like, I don't know, not like apathetic. So I'm enjoying everything. I enjoy what I do day to day, but like, I've realized it's not going to change anything. Like nothing is going to change. I'll carry on. I'm still going to have goals. I'm still going to have ambitions. Like I'm still going to be happy. I'm still going to be sad. I'm still going to have great things happen. I'm still going to have bad things happen. Life is just going to continue.
It's because you're still going to be you.
Yeah. So that's kind of probably going to in at the deep end at the end of this, because this is a very deep topic, but it's been on my mind quite a bit recently. How, because obviously we're approaching quite a big. This is like for me, something we've been I mean, this business getting to where it is now, like this was a dream. And it's crazy how, like, I mean, I'll be thinking about something 10 years from now, about what I want to achieve. And I'll be happy then, or maybe life will be different. But
we do it now. We're thinking about what are we going to do after this investment? How are we going to then get to the next level, kind of thing?
It's crazy. Life is crazy. So
you just gotta kind of I know people say it all the time, just appreciate where you are now.
Yeah,
but it's very hard to do that.
I think it's harder in today's world than it was 50 years ago, maybe. But I've not got a benefit of being here 50 years ago. I can't compare it. But yeah, I think we absorb so much nowadays, like from other people, and you've got the ability to see different cultures, different age groups, everybody really, and we just draw comparisons between. I mean, we're taught from a young age to benchmark ourselves against other people, like exam results. What did you get? I got A stars. I got D's. That means I'm more stupid than you. Like, we're taught from a young age to benchmark, so we do it consistently as we move through life. Like, you make 10 grand a year more than me. Yeah, that means that you're valued more than me. It means you're better than me. Like, it's all bullshit.
It is kind of, isn't it? Dan said it in therapy. It's weird you said that, because he literally said it in therapy today. He goes, like, if you lost everything you've got now and you just went back to literally where you were at your mum and dad's house, you're still the same person. And you'd still probably be able to do the same kind of stuff later if everything just reset right now, which would suck, by the way. I wouldn't want that. Can't do this again. But it don't it doesn't change who you are, does it? Like,
no. So we kind of segued again, as we normally do, but I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest because it's been kind of on my mind quite a bit recently. Just,
I think it's a good summary for the year. Just
yeah.
We've been through a lot this year. I think of course everyone has. Like, it's not really normal, is it, this year?
No.
But I think just appreciating kind of like where you're at.
Yeah, I think I mean, I've still had good times this year. Things have still been good. If you summarize it, it's been different. It's not been bad or good. It's been different for me, really. Just a different year.
My year's just been like don't even know, like a fucking, I don't know how you would describe it.
How could you summarize it?
Like,
choose one word.
Like cheese being grated, basically. It feels like that. But the cheese is my face.
I quite like cheese. Like, grated cheese is probably my favorite type of cheese.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of the action of my face just being grated.
Yeah.
But no, I've had a very tumultuous year, but still here though. So
yeah,
it'll be fine.
Do you still feel positive though? Do you still feel like good emotions?
Yeah, like, I went through some personal things back in like July, August, which really knocked me off, and it took a long time to just come back round. But I just feel like myself again, really, like, kind of. But very optimistic about next year. Like we've got some amazing things happening in the business, and it would be silly not to really just bask in that for a little bit and just.
I think we should do an episode on like this year, like maybe the first episode back. Like I'm giving Nindy instructions right now. You can edit this out if you need to, but I think we should do an episode on like the impact of 2021, like the unseen impact.
Yeah.
So like the things that we don't really talk about, like as an example, like I'm really pissed off that I can't go on holiday, like to somewhere like hot, as an example, and like that frustration, like has probably made me make decisions during the year, like spending a lot of money to go away for like 3 nights,
Yeah.
like more than I would do to go away for a week, because I'm like, I want to have the best time ever, so I'm gonna spend the money to make it amazing. And things like that have kind of been driven by that frustration that I can't go and do the things I want to do. But I think burnout, probably not being able to get away and escape the UK, I think that's quite a big thing, especially with you guys, like with Jamie and you. We would go away and kind of like
Yeah, at least a couple of times.
kind of get out of the crucible that is the business and think about it, and we could actually be ourselves and be the real people rather than the business owners and the job titles we've taken on. It's very difficult to separate yourself when you're in the office or when you're in that area. And I think that's probably that's probably why we feel so burnt out.
Yeah.
Um,
Like we normally would go over to the Walton Fox around the corner. We can't even do that.
no.
It's like crazy how we can't just.
So yeah, I think we should do an episode on kind of how we feel that, maybe get Jamie in too. Like we'll
Yeah.
do all 3 people.
We should do that. Table's big enough. Table's small enough for the room to get another third person.
Yeah. So I think that'd be quite interesting to do. To do that, and then maybe we give up the reins for the week after, and maybe we get 3 people in the business to maybe talk about how the year's been for them. So you could actually have a week off from hosting.
That'd be cool.
That could be quite interesting, just from our perspectives to the people we work with and how it's impacted them.
Yeah, let's do that. It's weird as well because we recorded the first episode in January.
Yep.
So it's been a year. It doesn't feel like it.
No, not at all.
16 episodes as well, which doesn't seem right, does it? Considering it's supposed to be a bi-weekly show.
There should be 26.
Yeah.
We did take about.
I suppose we took a while off, didn't we? Because of the whole thing. But oh well. So that's it. That's pretty much the last time for this year. So when we're back, we'll just carry on.
Yep. We'll probably sound a bit more
infused.
Yep.
All right, sound. If you guys enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment, and then we'll see you on the next episode in 2021, if we get there.